yourself in and get ready.
And here we go.
The leaders in fantasy football are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now listening to the Insight NFL Show with your hosts, Guns and Maverick.
Welcome to the NFL. Let's go.
G'day guys, and welcome to another episode of the Insight NFL Show. I'm the Maverick, brought to you by the Standard Squeeze. We've got the Guns. How you going, mate?
I'm pretty good. I'm fresh off doing a NRL one with Matrix last night, where I took a back seat and I liked it so much I'm doing it again tonight. So have fun hosting.
Yeah, so I actually listened to the first 5 or so minutes of that podcast because I don't know NRL at all, but you were in that football spirit that I listened to the first 5 minutes and that's all you were talking about with bloody football.
Yeah, I did it for the last 5 minutes as well, so I'm keen as.
Yeah, well, you're off a one-game suspension, or one episode suspension, should I say, and that's really due to taking Jalen Hurts in the first round in our League of Insight League. I'm sick to my stomach still of that you took him over your boy Anthony Richardson, so it was a much-deserved suspension, in my opinion.
Hey, come on now. I didn't take Ramondre Stevenson in that same Dynasty League, so you can serve your suspension next week.
Yeah, that'd be good. Week 2, pre-season, we're back in it again. That's what our focus of the show will be. Fantasy relevant pre-season news. Is there anything, before we go into all the games and stats and everything like that, is there anything that sort of caught your eye at all? Is there any highlight plays or...
Well, so I'll do a quick shout out. We'll go into it more detail once we go into the games. But a keen eye might have observed that the cover player for the podcast today is Sione Vaki from the Detroit Lions. He's probably the third in line running back there. However, he was pretty good. He had, I think 10 carries for over 55 yards. Had 4 catches for around 30 yards. He's a safety turn running back in his last year of college. Went in the late-ish or middle-ish 4th round. Look, is there relevance for him this year? No. But in deeper dynasty leagues, he's a pretty handy stash because he might feature on defense a little bit. He might do a bit on offense, and he'll most certainly have a big role on special teams.
So we're talking about punt and kick returners from the season.
Yeah. So that tells you all you need to know about this week. Geez, grim.
Fair enough, mate. I watched quite a bit of football over the weekend, might I add. But there was 2 things that really caught my eye, and they're 2 things that will continue to catch my eye throughout the season. And it's going to be, I'll mention them, and we'll go into a bit deeper a bit later. But it's Mahomes to Worthy. Seems like it's going to be some sort of ridiculous connection. They're going to have some sort of bloody highlight-ish plays that will just make the internet go crazy. And secondly, it's Caleb Williams again. That pass to Ndunze was unreal.
Speaking of passes, and I know you just talked about Mahomes, but the behind-the-back one he pulled off to Kelsey, that was something special.
Yeah, mate, this guy's like a wizard. It's ridiculous how good he is. So, look, he's probably going to go back to back. So, good on him.
Jeez, I don't know who stops the Chiefs this year if Rashid Rice and co. If Rashid Rice doesn't get suspended and Hollywood Brown stays on the field, jeez.
Yeah, I know. He's just got an abundance of weapons that he's just going to play with and toy with us for all year. So,
yep.
It's going to be fun to watch, even as a neutral fan.
Yeah. Well, you've got our first question in here. This one's for you. Hi, Matt. Who's the Essendon of the NFL?
You know what? It actually might be the Cowboys. I support some dog shit teams, mate. I go for Essendon in the AFL. I go for the Cowboys in the NFL. I just can't catch a break.
No, you need to start going for some less generic teams like the Dallas Cowboys. You need to go for some
Yeah.
more rogue teams like Seattle or
Yeah,
know.
well, luckily enough, I go for the Mavs in the NBA, so they did all right this year. But prior to this year, it's been real just grim as well. So yeah, it's not really my forte picking teams. I don't reckon.
No. Oh dear.
Well, shall we kick off the first game of the of preseason week 2?
Yeah, let's. So we had the Eagles and the Patriots, 14 points to 13 in favour of the Eagles, I believe. Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
They didn't really play any or many of their starters, the Eagles. So we'll skip past them. They won. Yeah, whatever. Good on them. Now the Patriots, they tried 4 different quarterbacks in this game. They tried Jacoby Brissett, who stunk it up. I don't think he completed a pass from memory, but I'll get some verification on that. Drake May, who was solid, and Joe Milton, who kept doing some Joe Milton things like trucking the ball and driving the shoulder into opposition defenders, and then there was Bailey Zappi. Now Bailey Zappi, I'll be shocked if he makes it to the final preseason game. Like he should be cut now. So we'll clarify on Jacoby Brissett. He went 3 of 7 for 17 yards and an interception. Drake May completed just above 50% of his passes for 47 yards. Look, can I just say this offense looks grim this year. I've got to be honest. Like they'll have some improvements, but it's still going to be pretty ugly.
yeah, you're right. I did like the fact that Drake May had a rushing touchdown today. Oh, not today, but on Friday our time. That was pretty good for his fantasy values. In saying that, he had 4 rushes for 15 yards to go with it, or 4 carries for 15 yards to go with it, should I say. So he's moving around in the pocket, getting out of there and trying to get some clear space. So he's going to have to do it all year. But yeah, like they didn't really play many of the receivers. Like they all played, but just don't know who's the best one there. So Booty was probably the best one on this one, but he had 23 total yards, and that was the best player they had in their receiving corp. So it's hard to really say, huh?
Yeah, there was one play where I think it was Drake May that was throwing a deep ball to Javon Baker, and he was very close to taking the catch, but it just got knocked out at the very last second. I think Javon Baker will still have a very big year, but a very big year in the on a Patriots offensive scale. So whatever that is up to you. It's like 700, 800 yards probably.
Yeah,
at best.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even Ramondre Stevenson, he had 6 carries for 18 yards. It's an average of 3 yards per carry. It's
Wash.
look, he's probably going to be the bell cow there. I don't know. It's a sneaky pick up there for anyone who's keen on Ramondre. It's an interesting one. He was pretty good the year before. We'll see if he can bounce back, but the offense is pretty crap.
Yeah, look, it's not going to be fun. I wouldn't own too many players on that Patriots offense in redraft at the very least this year.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next game, which was the Falcons and the Ravens. There really wasn't much in this one on the Falcons end, was there?
No, they didn't really play any of their starters. This seems to be the week where there's not actually many starters at all in any of the games. Hopefully they all come back out for the final preseason game and we get to see them a little bit.
Yeah, it was weird because I thought we'd get more players playing this week, at least playing for a quarter or as such. But as you said, we probably saw less, which was weird. But there really wasn't anything on the Falcon side at all. Nothing there of note. Same with the Ravens, huh?
Yeah, I think if I'm noting anything, right, it's that Devontae Walker, I'm going to say 4th round pick for Baltimore, wide receiver. He was sort of rumoured to be maybe pushing for a wide receiver 3 role, but he's not even starting with the backups in play. So, like, he's quite far down the pecking order. That's not a good sign for him at all. And whilst I think he'll be on the roster, I don't think he'll get much game time early on this season.
Yeah, but it's pretty good news for guys like Rashad Bateman, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, Rashad Bateman's going to have a role. I think that's just by default he'll have to now. Obviously, they're going to use Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers first and foremost, and then they're going to get a bit more creative with Isaiah Likely this year, but it's not going to be nothing for Rashad Bateman. I think he'll still be pretty heavily involved in the offense, but,
Well,
he's not a bad late round pick, right?
Well, he's a former first round pick. He's got talent. He came out in his first year and actually played really well. They've already pretty much made a statement in training camp saying they want to get him the ball and we're getting more involved. There's no Odell Beckham there anymore. As a late round pick, Rashad Bateman will probably go to the waivers, I'd say, in most leagues. There's a chance that he may get picked up late if you're really, really desperate. But he's one to watch for me. He's definitely one to watch.
Yeah, because it's definitely an offense which has a lot of upside in it, particularly, acquisition of Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews back to full health, and, another year of Lamar Jackson it's at full fitness. Like, there's no reason that this offense can't build on what they did last year.
Yeah. We'll move on to the next game. This has got some sort of fancy relevance to it, but the Bears beat the Bengals 27-3. And let's start with the Bears before I blow my load all over this screen. No one wants to see that. But Caleb Williams is really, really, really good at football.
Yeah.
What was interesting, though, in my opinion, was that they played 3 receivers, which were DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze. They all pretty much split the snaps. They didn't all play a lot. So, but is this going to be like a 3 wideout set with these guys all year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it is, if you look at the snaps, like we're talking 9 snaps for DJ Moore, 8 snaps for Keenan Allen, 7 snaps for Roma Dunze. Moore and Allen ran 6 routes each. Roma Dunze ran 4. And DJ Moore and Keenan Allen both got targeted once. Roma Dunze didn't see a target, but again, played less time. And then Caleb Williams himself only played 9 snaps, so I think it's very clear to me that DJ Moore is the main guy. He's the wide receiver 1. But, Keenan Allen takes up enough volume to be a very dominant wide receiver 2, in which case Roma Dunze may have to wait a little while to be a week-to-week starter in your fantasy teams.
Yeah, and if they played 3 wideout sets with all those 3, this could be, to a degree, very similar to the bloody Texans offense, right? Like, these guys are all highly talented. Obviously, probably not to that degree of what Texans have got, but, 1 week you can say DJ Moore, 1 week you can say Keenan Allen, 1 week you can say Dunze. And I tell you what, that one highlight play where it went from Williams to Dunze was sexy.
Yeah, it was very good. Jeez. Okay, they must have the stats wrong here. Dunze took that catch, right, off the Caleb Williams pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, then I don't know what the heck they're on about with Roma Dunze having no targets.
No. He had one.
Yeah.
He had one.
Well, there you go.
The escaping out of the pocket, going against your arm. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, even the running back situation there, it was Khalil Herbert was pretty much just taking the snaps. The first team carries as such. There was no Swift.
Yeah, I think it seems to be a growing trend that that we're not going to see many of the starting running backs play much in the preseason. I think that's just to preserve them. I'm not reading that much into it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Now on to the Bengals side. Really nothing of note, was there?
Yeah, yet again, we had all the starters sit out. There's genuinely no starters. Maybe Jermaine Burton, if you're really trying to look for one. 1 catch, 19 yards. Yeah, not that interesting.
7 routes run for 1 catch, though. It's been interesting for you'd imagine the number 1 on the day.
Yeah. He must have been pulled early, I reckon.
Yeah. Anything else you want to note in that game at all? Anything of note for want to mention?
I don't really think so. I think we can move on to the next game.
All right. So the next game was the Texans and the Giants, where the Texans won 28-10. Bloody another game where Stroud plays and looked bloody good, didn't he? 7 of 10 for 88 yards, and looked solid.
He did. He got Nico Collins got a 24-yard catch, and Stephon Diggs had a 9-yard reception himself. But the main man on the day was John Mechie with 6 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown. I suspect he had obviously Case Keenum threw him the touchdown, but most of that work would have been done with the backup quarterbacks. Probably not much rapport with CJ Stroud for John Mechie in this game. No sign of Tank Dell in an interesting development. Not sure why, but we did see Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins in this game. I think I'll do some digging to see if I can find out anything. But that's something that's worth highlighting.
Yeah, well, obviously they had no Mixon playing as the running back for that game, but they did have Cam Akers, 6 carries, 29 yards. They did have Damian Pierce, 4 carries for 5 yards. He's looking really, really shit. He probably might make the roster, maybe. He'd be on the bubble, though.
Yeah, because they brought in Akers, right? And he's been solid.
Yeah.
And then, they've got a few other guys there that'll be on much cheaper deals. But, yeah, Damian Pierce has fallen off a cliff since his rookie season.
Yeah, bloody oath he has. Schultzy. Do we like Schultzy at all for a sneaky late end tight end for the upcoming draft?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just looking here. He had 12 snaps, 4 targets. Tank Dell did play, just no targets for him on the day. But for what's our friend's name? Dalton Schultz, 3 catches, 39 yards. It all seemed to happen with CJ Stroud, so he's clearly not going to neglect the Texans tight end. So
look, if he's a factor in the red zone, he'd be relevant, right?
Yeah, for sure. Particularly as a late round pick or a streaming option at tight end, you could do much worse.
Yeah. Look, there's probably a big chance he doesn't get drafted in most leagues. In those deeper leagues, he probably would, but look, I think Schultz he's actually going under the radar a little bit. I know they've got a lot of options there at wide receiver, but they still use tight ends.
They do, and CJ Stroud's just going to be throwing the ball like crazy. Like you're not going to get 20 carries a game out of Joe Mixon at this stage in his career, and they clearly don't want to get the ball to I've just blanked his name out. Damian Pierce. That's who I was going to say. Give the ball to Damian Pierce because he's trash. And then your other option is Cam Akers with 2 torn Achilles that have maybe healed, right? Well, they have healed, but probably affected him forever. So look, I don't think there's going to be much of a ground game for them this year. I think they're always going to be. It's going to be very pass heavy, but I think that suits them.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Anything else to note in that game?
Well, the Giants probably, and only one player on the Giants, Malik Neighbours. Now,
yes,
he was very involved. So he had, I'm just getting the numbers up here, up in the wrong game. There it is. He had 30 snaps, 17 routes ran, 6 targets and a carry. He converted that into 1 carry for 5 yards, 4 catches for 54 yards. That's off the top of my head. That's 9.9 fantasy points. I wouldn't have imagined he would have played much of this game. He might have played the first half, or I'd say close to the first half of this game. But pretty convinced that Malik Neighbours is already the clear-cut wide receiver 1 there. Not that that's really shocking news to anyone, but he's just going to be a target machine. Like, he's just going to have so much volume in his Giants offense this year. despite how crap the passes might be. I mean, yeah, Daniel
Well, I
Jones
mean,
and Tommy DeVito. Oof.
you saw in this game. I don't know if you saw, but he had in man coverage. Should I say he had 2 circus catches. um, so the kid's very talented. Look, I still think he can be a high end wide receiver too. Um, I think that this offense is obviously crap, but they're going to be losing games. Game script's going to be in their favor. We're going to have to throw it more. He's going to be open. He's going to be playing in the slot on the outside. Doesn't matter where he plays. His route running is absolutely amazing. So I'm confident this kid will be fantasy relevant for sure. And as I said, high end wide receiver 2 is fine.
Oh yeah, particularly when he's probably currently he have to be close to the 20th wide receiver off the board right now, because people are fading him a little bit due to this terrible offense he's on. And which, look, I get to an extent, but probably not fading him this far, I would say personally, is probably a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I think it's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it all. But look, if you're taking this wide receiver 20, that's where you're getting your value, because this guy could be a top 12 wide receiver in my opinion. Borderline top 12, should I say?
I will quickly mention the running back situation of the Giants, because you know where I'm going with this. Obviously, Tracy has currently he has an ankle injury. He's sounds as though he'll be fine for week 1, but it's just a sprained ankle, so missed this game. Probably going to miss the next one, but can I? I'm not really filled with confidence in 10 carries for 20 yards for Devin Singletary. Yes, he had that rushing touchdown. I imagine, I didn't see it, but I imagine it was a goal line carry. We knew that was going to be the case for Singletary this year. Yeah. Eric Gray, not very involved in the ground game, 3 carries, 18 yards. However, he did have 5 catches for 22 yards. Now, it shows to me that clearly Singletary is not going to be doing pass catching, right? Eric Gray's a 3rd down back, I feel like, in place of Tracy right now. Whether or not that ends up being true, we don't know yet, but look.
I've got a plot twist for you.
Here we go. Yep.
So Singletary played 29 of 33 snaps with the first team, right? So he's going to be their starting running back. There's no question about that. To play that many snaps in a preseason game is a bit ridiculous for your starting running back, in my opinion. But it's the Giants; they're shit. But he also played in 3rd and longs, and then also handled the goal line job. So this could be a situation where he's just going to be used everywhere possible. And if Tracy's going to be down and sidelined early, Singletary's just going to be the bell cow back.
Well, yes, but he can't catch passes. That's the pitfall of Devin Singletary, and that's where the value of Tyrone Tracy lies. And that's how he wins that's how he wins the starting job. You see, I've got my board all mapped out as to how he wins it. It's like that meme with the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, he's got that big board and everything connected to each other, and
yeah.
I'm with you.
That's me and Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah. Look, as I said, they're probably going to go down the Tyrone Tracy path at some point. It's going to get to a point where they're going to have to try something different. They're going to probably go halfway through the year and they're going to probably have maybe 1 or 2 wins on the board and go, shit, let's just try something different. And Tyrone Tracy might come out with the first team and dominate. You just never know. But at some point, we will see it.
Yeah, look, he's going to be involved this year. Maybe I'm overhyping him, but he will have some sort of fantasy relevance at some stage this year.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to the next game. That was the Chiefs and the Lions, where the Lions won 24-23. Now, the Chiefs. I know we were at the top of the show, we spoke about the Chiefs. But, man, Mahomes 8 of 14 for 93 yards. Xavier Worthy, what do you have? Xavier Worthy was 3 of 62 and a touchdown. Rashid Rice, 4 of 35. Kelsey, 1 for 8. Didn't really play much, but relevant. This offense is legit, huh?
This is going to be so fun to watch. I think, as you mentioned, from a neutral standpoint, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. You know, finally they have an actual Tyreek Hill replacement. They've replaced the pace that he had with Xavier Worthy. Sure, maybe the 1%ers on the football on the football field, he might lack because he's a rookie, but he's got the pace. That's all we're here to see. We're here to see the big bombs downfield, right? If you're looking for skillful wide receivers, you've got Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown, and if I'm broadening the term to pass catchers, Travis Kelce. So, look, I'm so excited to watch, as you say, Mahomes and Worthy. But what I found to be quite interesting was that, Rashee Rice is still getting bulk targets and bulk catches, and I think that'll keep on keeping on, and he will be a PPR machine this year.
Yeah, and I'm worried that Worthy, as good as he is, he's probably going to be more of a toy. But they just sort of just play him. They play in this game, for example. They played him in so many different formations, right? They played in the snap. They played him in the outside played in the snap. They played him in the inside. They played him in the outside. But where he scored his touchdown was playing in the slot. So, yeah. So I'm not sure if he's going to be a PPR machine as such, but he's going to be in that category where he has exactly like he had in this game: three catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. Like that's a good fantasy score. It's
a very good fantasy score. Off the top of my head, that's 15.2 fantasy points, and then you throw in the 11-yard rush, it's 16.3. That's very good.
And that's off limited production, right?
Yeah. I did mean that Rashee Rice would be the PPR machine. I just think he'll rack up catches galore in the slot this year. If Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy aren't open downfield, I'll just throw the ball to Rashee Rice or Travis Kelce. It's a pretty nice luxury to have for Patrick Mahomes. On the running back situation, we saw Deneric Prince really take over as the RB2 this game. I saw 0 snaps from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or 0 contribution rather from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And the other backup guys didn't really do all that much. I think this is Deneric Prince RB2, and if you're looking to handcuff Isaiah Pacheco, I'd be taking Prince as a late round pick.
Yeah, as a handcuff, possibly.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Because they're giving him a chance to really show himself, because Edwards-Helaire's had enough time now, hasn't really come out. He's a small running back that really can't dig and dive for those 4 or 5 yards that he needs to just carve out as a bigger back, because he's tiny. But yeah, no, I agree with Deneric Prince. I think he's the RB2. Maybe even Carson Steele would be even in contention for the RB2, but it's probably Deneric Prince. He's a rookie anyway, so you give him a shot. But Pacheco, it's going to be him all day, isn't it?
Oh, he'll be the 3. He'll be an every down back, Isaiah Pacheco. But in the event that Pacheco misses time, it wouldn't shock me if Deneric Prince himself became an every down back, because provided he can handle the full workload. Yeah,
and just putting it out there, Edwards-Helaire actually missed with an illness.
Oh, well, that's a bit. That really does burst my bubble a little bit.
Either way, but still.
Deneric Prince is RB2, stuff Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, and look, whichever route they go, they're going to be fine. They got Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
On the Lions side, we didn't see Jared Goff play, which was a bit weird. They didn't really play any of their starters at all, did they?
Oh, no, they didn't. Now, I'd like to clarify, at the top of the show, I told some porky pies about Sione Vaki's stats. They were still good, except it was the other way around for his yards. So 6 carries for 22 yards, that's a bit, how you going? However, 4 catches for 60 yards is pretty solid. So
yeah,
that's good in PPR. That's 12.2 points in PPR. But yeah, just a flag in case David Montgomery and or Jimmy Gibbs miss time. They don't have to rely on only one of them now. They can use their backups, which are pretty competent. Even Zonovan Knight, he was solid. Just a very, very quick mention that they've got some decent depth in the RB position.
Yeah, bloody oath they do. Let's move on to the next game. That was the Browns and the Vikings, where the Vikings won 27-12. We'll start with the Vikings because they've come out at the start of the week, obviously with the McCarthy injury, and announced that Darnold will be their starter. Now that's good news for anyone that's taken him late in any sort of super flex leagues like myself. I got him in our League of Insight, and I think it was the last round or second last round. Not knowing that McCarthy's out for the year, so that's good news for me. I'll probably win the league now.
That's bold from you.
But outside of that news, there was a wild Miles Gaskin that rocked up to this game. It was weird. I didn't realise he was on the Vikings roster. Is he going to be a third RB for this team?
So what do we got? We've got Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler, and then probably Miles Gaskin, right?
Have to be.
Jeez, that's
and Wangu.
Dear. Remember the days of Miles Gaskin RB1 for the Dolphins?
He was. Yeah, he was. And dominated, might I add.
Yeah, he was good. Oh, dear. Well, look, hopefully they don't have to play him too much for their sake.
They won't. No, they won't. But outside of that, there wasn't really anything else on there. They didn't play their starters at all. We still haven't seen Jefferson play. I don't think Addison played. I think he was out with, was it personal issues, I think?
Well, he had that ankle injury, didn't he, during the week?
Oh, yes, true. I thought he still had his personal issues with his bloody DUI. So, but anyway, we'll move on to the next. We'll move on to the Browns, and even the Browns didn't really give us anything, did they?
Well, they did reassure us that it won't be Tyler Huntley or Dorian Thompson-Robinson taking Deshaun Watson's job. Both of them sucked. Deonta Foreman was terribly inefficient on the ground, had a touchdown, but was shocking. Decent pass catching, 5 catches, 46 yards, but in terms of production on the ground, it was grim. They didn't throw a touchdown pass at all, the Browns, and they threw 3 picks for their trouble. I don't know. I could see if anyone was to take Deshaun Watson's job, it'd have to be Jameis Winston, because I don't think either of these two have potential to be starters in this league.
Yeah, that's fair. They're really playing for the RB3 position, QB3 position, and no one really cares about that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next game, because that was really crap for fantasy relevancy. And it'll be the Titans versus the Seahawks. Your boys came up and lost 16-15. Now, we can start off with the Titans. Still no Will Levis. He didn't play in this game. We did see Malik Willis and we did see Mason Rudolph, so they're playing for the QB2. I've done the same mistake again. But outside of that, their receivers didn't play. There was no one of relevancy. There's no Ridley. There was no Tyler Boyd. There was no Spears. There was no Pollard.
Yeah, there was nothing in this game. We saw all of those, or most of those guys feature in the first game. Will Levis obviously had that rushing touchdown, but no, in this game, very little relevancy for the Titans. And even on the Seahawks side of things, like, we got to see Sam Howell. He was very good. 11 of 14, 153 yards and a touchdown. Apparently, Gino's seeking an extension. I suspect that won't be given to him. And my gut says we draft a QB next year, but we start Sam Howell for most of it.
Yeah, so in our League of Insight, I've actually got Geno Smith as my Superflex QB, only because of the offense. The offense should be okay. And he had some games last year where he went big. But I'll be watching that very closely as the weeks go by, because Sam Howell could say and could demand some time there for sure. Because look, he's probably not backup worthy, but he was very, very reckless last year in Washington.
Yeah, now that was he showed glimpses of starting potential, right? I think there is an NFL caliber quarterback there. He just needs to rein it in with the football. I personally think Washington should have persisted a little bit further with him, but when you have Jaden Daniels available, you go get Jaden Daniels, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Other than that, there was nothing else there. They didn't really play any other notable receivers. They're all still missing time, which is a shame. I just want to see these guys play. Like, give us something.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I think hopefully we see it this week. Otherwise, strap yourself in for week 1.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next game, which was the Bills and the Steelers. Now, this was an interesting game. It was 9-3.
Oh,
So I assume that was 3 field goals for the Bills. I'd assume. I don't think there's a touchdown in this game at all. And I was correct.
oh dear.
Now, I will say one thing. We'll start with the Steelers. I'm going to put Benny's comment here on the stream here. He's really, really pumped for the NFL season to finish. That's bold to say at the start of the season that we haven't even played game 1 yet, and he wants the season to finish. But what is interesting though is the Fields versus Wilson battle. I don't know who's going to start, but look, it's probably going to be Wilson if I had to put money on it. But Justin Fields played pretty well too.
Well, it's tough, right? Like, there's no appropriate metaphor that I could come up with fast enough in my head, but it's really picking the worst here. So we got asked about it last night. I said, look, Justin Fields is crap. Russell Wilson might be crappier. Probably is. Justin Fields can at least run. Russell Wilson could 5 years ago. You might have something to build on with Justin Fields. You certainly don't with Russell Wilson. He's a bridge quarterback at best, whereas you could still get 4 or 5 years of of solid-ish production out of Justin Fields. For me personally, I think they will start Russell Wilson, but I think he might only make it through the first month.
Yeah, that could be very, very likely. Look, the problem with the Steelers have got, though, is Justin Fields is entering his 5th year. So he's, one way or another, going to sign a new contract. If that's with the Steelers or if that's with someone else is unknown. So at some point this year, they're going to have to feel out Fields and see what he's all about. They know what Russell Wilson is. He's old. He's pretty washed. But they don't know what Fields can be with Pickens. They don't know what Fields can be with the running backs. And let's be honest, Fields is almost a mini running back himself.
Look, if you're going to look at it in a more, I suppose I'll look at it in a more polite way, in a more proper way. With Russell Wilson, you've got a consistent 6 out of 10 quarterback, right? Whereas with Justin Fields, you could get anything from a 2 to a 9. And the only way you're going to know is by playing him and finding out.
Yeah.
And so whether or not it's you start Justin Fields, see what happens, and if he's no good, you bring in the safe 6.5 out of 10. Mike Tomlin gets his winning season again, and then you start again next year with neither of them on the roster. Or you say, well, Russell Wilson is a safe 6 out of 10. I'm going to keep playing him, and let's see if Justin Fields can learn anything off Russell Wilson, and if Russell Wilson drops below anything other than a 6 out of 10, then you bring in Justin Fields and see what happens.
I think the most notable news in this game, though, was Jalen Warren, should I say, going down with a hammy, it seems. They reckon he is going to be in doubt for week 1, or maybe sort of looking at week 2, week 3, possibly to come back in. Hammies are a bit of a hard one. They can go 4 to 6 weeks depending on how bad they are. So watch this space in the coming days of how bad this injury actually is. But this does make Najee Harris a bit more attractable in fantasy drafts. If you've already drafted him, that's great. He's going to be the bell cow early on. If you haven't, does he go up your rankings just a little bit?
I think he does go up your rankings a little bit. If you're a bit of a savvy manager, what you'll do is you'll draft Najee Harris, and you'll see that let's say Jalen Warren's missing the first couple of weeks, you'll see those 2 weeks of value. Well, you see the first week where he's a bell cow, 3 down back, he's doing everything. You'll say, hey, look at this. This is a former first-round running back who's killing it. And you sell him on for capital or for value, for profit, whatever word you want to use.
I think that's probably what you have to run with is trade bait for Najee Harris. He's a bit of a cock tease. He can go out for these big games where he has, 70 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns or such. But all in all, he's very inconsistent these times. And he's fallen off a bit of a cliff pretty quick too. I remember when he first came into the league, he was absolutely dominating. And it was like a high-end RB1 at that stage.
It's a bit harsh. I think situationally, having Jalen Warren there and splitting the backfields hurt him. And then at the same time, I think that he needs to drop a few kilos and get a bit quick because he's a bit too sluggish right now. I might go on a quick detour. I'm on the clock in our Dynasty of Insight draft. And I have... What have I got? I've got an 11th round pick. I've traded away my 10th round pick. I'm eyeing off Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah.
In a Dynasty.
What about the news of Ayuk?
Is Ayuk staying? What's the deal there?
It seems like he is.
Yeah. Well, look. I mean, let's be honest, right? If Ayuk stays, Debo goes. Right. One of them's leaving.
Yeah.
They haven't drafted him in the first round for nothing. Yeah. Otherwise, they would have prioritised elsewhere. With that capital, it's Dynasty. I'm going Ricky Pearsall. There you go. Live pick for you.
Ricky Pearsall, 1103 in our Dynasty of Insight.
Yeah, that's pretty good going.
Yeah. On the Bills side of things, now we didn't see any Josh Allen this week. We didn't see much passing offense at all from any of their QBs because they stunk it up. Trubisky sucks. Ben DiNucci, Cowboys legend, he sucks. But what is interesting is that I think this is going to be looking at more 2 tight end sets for the Bills moving forward, which could hurt any of the Bills wide receivers at some point because we just don't know when they start rotating through who's going to stay on the field more consistently.
The answer is Khalil Shakir, but some people just don't want to admit that.
Nah, I'm not a true believer of Khalil Shakir until I see it. Yeah, look, it's probably going to be Kincaid and Knox as 2 tight end sets, which it's going to be a heavy rotation too. Heavy rotation.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do there. Knox is a solid tight end, right? So you can't just discount him entirely. No. And Kincaid's a stud. So he's obviously going to be up there. I think you've got to utilise the pace of Keon Coleman. I think you've got the strongest rapport between Khalil Shakir and Josh Allen. It really is screaming Curtis Samuel as the odd one out here. I'm avoiding Samuel like the plague.
Well, he did miss due to injury in this one. But yeah, it's, as I said, heavy rotation. I'm probably going to take Keon Coleman, if anyone, on this team. But I'm not confident by saying that.
No, not much confidence at all on the receiving side of things. I will say that the rushing game improved quite a lot this week. Obviously, last week we talked about how Ray Davis and James Cook combined for 9 carries for 4 yards or something stupid like that last week. Well, this week Ray Davis peeled off 8 carries for 58 yards. Frank Gore Jr. also featured a little bit with 8 carries for 41 yards. And the starter, James Cook, 6 carries, 25 yards. Now, obviously, we think that James Cook's an every down back, barring goal line carries, which go to Ray Davis. For me, I mean, the efficiency, I just want a solid enough O-line for James Cook. The role's pretty good. It's a shame he's not going to get many rushing touchdowns, but he's going to have plenty of receptions, particularly if there's some slow development for guys like Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, I really like James Cook this year. I think he's going to be a safe running back option in your drafts. As you said, 3 down back. He probably might not get goal line carries as such, but he probably could break out for a 20-yard touchdown. He's done it before, and he'll do it again. And the passing works where he can make his money too. So, what's he going, like 4th round at the moment in 12 team?
Late 4th,
APRs?
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good value.
Yeah. I've been drafting him a fair bit, and I've been pretty happy with where I've been getting him.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to the next game. It was a bit of a stinker, if I'm being quite honest with you. It was the Panthers and the Jets, 15-12 in favour of the Jets. We still haven't seen Bryce Young play. Why?
Oh, dude. Look, I didn't watch any of this game, I'll be honest, and I'm glad I didn't. Because when a team has 61 passing yards in 4 quarters of football, you know it's a pretty crappy quality game of football. For context, former Washington Huskies running back Dylan Johnson ran for 83 yards, which was 20 yards more than what they passed for the entire game. So that is grim, and I'm not even going to talk about it anymore.
Why aren't they playing Bryce Young in pre-season? I'd just give him a few snaps. They're playing CJ Stroud. Why can't you play Bryce Young?
I have no idea. Maybe it's because they know that they've got nothing good behind him and they just cannot afford to lose him to injury.
Yeah, but he needs confidence too in game reps.
Yeah, he does.
On the Jets side of things, Braylon Allen's probably the only one of note. 8 carries for 27 yards. That's not too bad. Other than that, no one else really played, did they? And he actually had 2 catches for 12 yards as well, Braylon Allen. So he was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if Breece Hall misses time, I think he's just about a 3-down back. So, again, a very high-value handcuff.
You'd just empty out all your fab to get him, right?
If it was a season-ending injury, yeah.
Even like 6 weeks.
Even 6 weeks, I'd go
Not empty him, but
I'd be dropping $50, yeah.
Yeah. And keep in mind, this offensive line this year at the Jets is very, very good. They just signed Tyrone Smith, the left tackle, all-timer at the Cowboys, but it was solid last year. It's going to be solid again this year, and it's going to be an offense that will be able to move the ball. So, yeah, if Braylon Allen sees any time at all due to injury, he's going to be one to stockpile for sure in your fab.
Yeah, and if you're, let's say you're drafting late 3rd round in Dynasty, I think Braylon Allen's a very solid pickup because, like, Breece Hall's not bulletproof. You know, he's going to have some wear and tear on him. Also, Braylon Allen's 20. He could be on the Jets for a very long time and potentially see some starting time. He will see starting time at some point in his Jets tenure for sure.
And, yeah, if you're in Dynasty rookie drafts, I'd be making sure if I'm a Breece Hall owner, I'm taking Braylon Allen.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next game. That was the Dolphins and the Commanders. That was 13-6 win for the Dolphins. They moved to 2-0 in preseason, looking good. Tua Tagovailoa, 5 of 5 for 51 yards and a touchdown. He's looking like a good mid-range QB this year. Obviously, a solid offense. But what was the most interesting thing was Mostert out-snapped A-Chain.
Yeah, and I can't say it really yielded much. So 5 carries, 7 yards, and on the receiving side of things, absolutely nothing for Raheem Mostert, whereas Devon A-Chain, 2 carries, 10 yards, 2 catches, 34 yards. So I'm still an A-Chain believer because he's very, very efficient. And, yeah, look, there's going to be a role for him, and he will thrive in that role. What surprises me is that there was absolutely no work for Jalen Wright in this game.
Yeah, there was nothing at all, unless he missed due to injury or something like that, or they just wanted to rest him, I don't know. But what I will say with Mostert, though, going back to Mostert, was he did play 9 of 11 snaps with Tua. That's a concern if I'm an A-Chain owner.
Well, how many did A-Chain play with Tua?
Not many. I think it might have been 2.
Okay, that's not great, no.
But anyway, it's all good. I'm sure they'll work it out. even last year, A-Chain was still very, very good with the limited snaps that he got. So Mostert's not young anymore, so and he's injury prone too. So look, I'm not too concerned. I'd be concerned early on in the year because I think it's going to be the Mostert show, but A-Chain will get going at some point.
He will, and there'll be games where he just blows up deluxe like last year. So it's going to take an injury. It seems as though it's going to take an injury this year for A-Chain to get RB1, overall RB1. But unless Mostert is magically trash immediately, come week 1, I think this is still going to be a 60-40 Mostert backfield.
Yeah, no, I'd probably agree with that. We didn't see Tyreek Hill, that's fine. We didn't see Jalen Waddle, that's fine. But God, this offense is going to be fun to watch when the season starts.
Very fun. Very, very fun.
It's going to be up there with that Chiefs offense, I reckon, for sure. They can keep everyone healthy. What do you know?
Yeah, big time.
Moving on to the Commanders side of things, we saw quite a bit of Jaden Daniels. It looked really good. Looked really, really good. 10 of 12 for 78 yards in the air. And he had 2 carries for 2 rushes for 13 yards on the ground. So the biggest question mark for Jaden Daniels for me coming into the season was his passing, but he shut me up so far.
Yeah, he's been very impressive this pre-season. Both him and Caleb Williams haven't seemed to be really hindered by being rookies. Like, Bo Nix has been solid. JJ McCarthy's obviously out for the season, and Drake May's been limited in terms of how much he's been allowed to do and hasn't completed at a great percentage either. But Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels seem to be clearly the best 2 quarterbacks in this draft class.
Yeah, and look, I'm actually looking at Jaden Daniels now as I still got a few drafts to go myself. 1 QB leagues and Superflex leagues. In 1 QB leagues, I'm actually looking at Jaden Daniels for a sort of a back-end draft pick as such, sort of around the QB 10 to 12 marks. That's probably where he's going. But that's like 9th, 10th round in 1 QB leagues, or maybe a bit higher than that. But this guy has potential to really blow up due to his rushing game. And if his passing game's on point, then I don't see a world where he can't go backwards.
I struggle to see how he doesn't finish the season inside the top 12, and I think he'll be pushing for a top 5 fantasy football finish as a quarterback.
There you go, huh? That's a big call. Yeah.
Is it though? Like
QB1, probably not.
Like, he's got the rushing game. He's got probably 80% of the rushing game that guys like Anthony Richardson and Lamar Jackson have, and he's probably got 80% of the game of passing game that most of the top tier quarterbacks have. So you mix that all together, like it's very reasonable to say that he can push for a top 5 finish.
The only thing that worries me is his weapons. I think McLaurin's fine. I don't mind McLaurin. He's fine. It's more the fact that he's got Dotson, who's a bit of a question mark. Now, there was concern at the start of the season where they weren't too sure he's going to make the roster. That's baloney. He'll make the roster for sure. And then outside of that, you've probably got tight ends and Zacchaeus. You got Zacchaeus that's still there, or there now. Jamison Crowder's there. Luke McCaffrey's there. So, look, I don't know what to expect out of these guys.
Trust.
There you go. And they got Austin Eckler.
And Austin Eckler.
Austin 316.
Yeah, perfect.
Now, let's move on to the next game, and that was the Colts and Cardinals, where the Colts won 21-13. Still haven't seen your man play yet, Anthony Richardson.
He played...
he played week 1.
Yeah, he played week 1, but nothing this week.
Nothing this week.
That's fine. Perfect. That's good.
They didn't play anyone this week.
No one played anyone.
Nothing of note.
Trey Benson, 9 carries, 43 yards for the Cardinals. Solid. Any catches for him? Not that I can see.
No.
I think he's definitely RB2. He's ahead of Amari DeMarcado. That's not really a hard hurdle to leap, though. Clayton Tune, Desmond Ritter, they completed okay, but there just wasn't much. They didn't pass very much, just as a whole. They didn't have any attempts either. So, I don't think that's a
How
sign of
high?
what's. Sorry,
How high are you on Trey Benson?
Not really. Not that
Yeah,
high
you
this
think it's going to
year.
be James Conner all day?
Well, I just think James Conner showed no sign of slowing down last year. I think
Injury
they just
risk?
took. I feel like they just took the best player available, and
Yeah, so
yeah,
in dynasty leagues, Trey Benson in next year moving forward, I think will have some really good value. I think James Conner's
yeah,
got 1 year left in his contract, and that's this year. So he's 28 now. They probably don't sign him to obviously be cash or anything like that. And they might not even bring him back if he's injury prone again this year. So that's one to watch. I'm actually pretty high on Trey Benson, to be honest. Nearly 5 yards to carry. As a as a round 7, round 8 option in drafts in 1 QB leagues, it's not a bad option in my opinion. I cannot trust James Conner to stay healthy at one bit.
sure, right, but not in the 7th or 8th round. I couldn't take him. I would take him after 10 rounds, sure, because we're talking about a backup. I think James Conner's clearly a 3-down back. He's shown that he was last year. I don't think that Trey Benson is, clearly elite enough in one area that he can take a special skill away from James Conner. However, James Conner, as you mentioned, is off contract at the end of this year.
Yeah.
In dynasty leagues, I'm much higher on him because he probably goes close to a 3-down back next year if they don't re-sign Conner.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Look, as I said, 8th round, I'd probably have a look.
In a dynasty league, yes. In a redraft league, I'd almost let him go to waivers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next game. This was a stinky game. This was the Rams and the Chargers, Battle of SoFi Stadium. 13-9 in favour of the Rams. No Herbert, he's injured, obviously. So they played Easton Stick. He looked terrible. And
Luis Perez, whoever the heck that is, a 30-year-old USFL quarterback or whatever.
Must be Mexican.
Oh, jeez, I would say so. XFL, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah.
There's really nothing there that you like in this Chargers side.
I suppose we should quickly mention preseason cult hero Kamani Vidal. 11 carries, 49 yards, 2 catches, 8 yards. He had some obviously quite involved, definitely the most involvement of any player this game. That's not a good thing though, when no one's featuring at all, and 29-year-old XFL quarterback Luis Perez is getting most of the reps at quarterback in this game. So I'm letting Kimani Vidal go.
Oh, absolutely. It's probably an RB3.
Yeah, at best. At best.
Yeah. On the Rams side, nothing there of note apart from the GOAT Stetson Bennett. He
Dog.
pretty much played the whole game again, 213 yards. He's probably firmly the QB2 there at the Rams.
Well, yeah, Jimmy G properly sucks and he's suspended, isn't he? So that's his job. Just having a look. There's been a name that keeps popping up at the top of the receiving stats for the Rams this preseason. Jordan Whittington. 5 catches, 52 yards this week. I think he had something like 6 catches for 60-odd yards last week. I don't think they have the volume to go with a third 1,000-yard receiver. But
obviously.
There's a chance he can get to 500, 600 yards in the season, and if Nakua or Cup miss time, he steps up, right? They love him.
Demarcus Robinson?
Well, maybe, but it's Demarcus Robinson. It's not really a big hurdle to leap over. And the dude's... He's solid, don't get me wrong, but it's the Rams. They always do this. They pull someone out of thin air and make them a superstar. And so
they do.
I thought it would actually be tight end Davis Allen, but it's not going to be him.
No.
It's going to be Jordan Whittington if it's anyone.
Yeah, fair enough. Nothing else there of note in that game. We'll move on to the next one, which was the Jags and the Bucks, where the Jags won 20-7. Mac Jones, mac and cheese, looked okay. 16 of 23 for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. They didn't really play anyone, did they? Brian Thomas played, actually.
Oh, Brian Thomas played. Yes. 1 catch, 14 yards. Very involved. I will mention quickly, I think I saw a stat saying that Tank Bigsby has something like 64 yards this preseason, and 62 of them have come after contact. Now,
yeah,
that's obviously good for Tank Bigsby. But what I found it interesting as someone who's been drafting Travis Etienne a lot is that they're getting to the running back quickly in the backfield, which means their run blocking is pretty weak so far this preseason.
Yeah, so Tank Bigsby is the RB2 there. That's no question. Does he eat into Etienne's time at all? Maybe.
Probably.
Maybe.
Oh,
goal line carries?
Maybe. Nah. I'm going to say no.
I hope not. That would be a shame for Etienne owners. But yeah, hopefully not.
It's more so. I was more so highlighting the lack of quality O-line blocking, but on the run side of things, yeah.
There's nothing really on the Bucks side at all. I don't think there's any point really mentioning the Bucks at all, unless you've got anything to say about the Bucks. They played their 2s, 3s.
No, nothing there.
All right, let's move on to the next game, which was the Cowboys and the Raiders, where the Cowboys are on the board. They're 27-12 win over the Raiders. Now, the most interesting thing of this game was when I was watching this game, I watched probably about 3/4 of this game, was they were mentioning that they were going to they're going to name their starter, which is going to be either O'Connell or Minshew at QB. They didn't actually mention it to the next morning, so they still weren't even sure after the game what they were going to do. But they've come out and said Gardner Minshew is our starting QB. I think that's a good option for Devontae Adams. I think that will keep him involved. But what I will say is Zamir White, I'm liking him more and more.
Yeah, because I didn't think Aiden O'Connell was going to check down as much as what Gardner Minshew would. So that's going to be good for Zamir. Obviously, he was pretty efficient on the ground, 4 carries, 23 yards. But yeah, I'm not sure what they saw from Gardner Minshew compared to Aiden O'Connell in this game that made them decide that Gardner Minshew was the guy. But they made a decision, and
they were both crap.
I think both will see a fair bit of playing time this season. If you've got a deep league, I'm not dropping Aiden O'Connell by any means. I think he will play at some point this season.
Yeah, so the Cowboys weren't even playing their starting defense. They played their 2s and made these guys look second rate. Obviously, no Devontae Adams, which is fine. But, look, in my opinion, Zamir White, I'm liking him more and more. I liked what Josh Jacobs did in this offense last year, pretty much doing the same thing. Now, obviously, Zamir White and Josh Jacobs are completely different players, and you can't really compare them. But Zamir White's going in the 5th, 6th, 7th round? 6th, 7th round, something around there.
I think it's around the 7th, yeah.
That's great value.
It is good value, particularly when we're looking at a every down back currently. Dylan
Who's got him in our Who's got him in our League of Dynasty? No, not League of Dynasty, our League of Insight. Who's got him in our League of Insight? Looking at him.
Yeah, there you go. Well done. Congrats. Who do I have? I'm just checking who I have. I'm sure I've got someone better.
Look, Zamir White's going to cook. I'm confident. I'm going to win the league based off Zamir White game.
We're facing each other week 1.
Yeah, we are. I'm going to smack your ass.
Well, no, because you won't have Jameer Gibbs, so I'll win.
Yeah, that's all right. I got Zamir White.
Oh, Zamir White. Oh. I've got Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs. I have your worst nightmare. Saquon
Yeah,
Barkley.
yeah. I can't stand those guys.
And Jalen Hurts. I have like 2 rushing touchdowns a game from those two.
Yeah, they can
You're
go, those
cooked.
guys.
And I have
Yeah.
Danny Dimes. It's over for you.
Yeah, I got Malik neighbours though, so.
Ooh. Ooh.
But moving on to the Cowboy side of things, Trey Lance. I don't understand why he is not the QB2 going into this year. I
Well,
don't know why they don't kick it off.
he very well could be after this preseason because he's been playing really well. And I don't think it's the worst shout in the world if... I'm surprised the Raiders haven't called the Cowboys about Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of value there to him. Because, with the right coaching, you could probably get something out of him at the NFL level, I reckon.
I think they're going to keep him no matter what for insurance on Dak.
Oh, yeah, because he wants like $70 million a year or something stupid.
Yeah. So if that doesn't work out and he tests free agency and he goes somewhere else, they've got Trey Lance sitting there waiting to go. So,
Surely you'd buy a Trey Lance jersey.
no, probably not.
Oh, come on.
Unless he dominates, and then I'll probably be forced to.
You'll be a bandwagoner.
Yeah. But look, CD Lamb still. Now there was. How's this for news, right? Now, obviously, for CD Lamb owners out there, this guy has been offered a $33 million a year contract. He declined it, wasn't interested. He wants to be the number 1 paid wide receiver in the league. Look, okay, he probably deserves it, but $33 million a year puts him at number 2. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just he's getting selfish now.
Well, look, all I can say is losing Dak and CD Lamb's going to set you back 5 years.
Oh, yeah, shit, yeah. Well, CD Lamb will do it just in itself.
Don't worry, you got Ezekiel Elliott. You'll be fine.
We're all good. And the little buddy, the midget, Deuce Vaughn, big Deuce.
Slot wide receiver, Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah. That's enough out of Cowboys. They're probably going to be a pretty shit team this year. But anyway, we'll move on to today's games. It was the Broncos and the Packers. There was 2 games today. Broncos-Packers, they won 27-2. Bo Nix looked really good.
Yeah, he did. What do we see from him? 8 from 9 yards. 8 from 9 completion. I'll try that again. 8 completions from 9 attempts, 80 yards and a touchdown. A few rushes for 12 yards. He's been pretty efficient in this preseason. I think it's clear that he's got to be the guy for them this year to start week 1.
Yeah, absolutely he is. They have to go with him. They're not going with Zach Wilson.
Or Jarrett Stidham.
No, that's not happening. Did Tim Patrick was back from his ACL? Did he play last week? I don't know if he did, but he looked like he was pretty involved. Who's the other guy? Troy Franklin. He hasn't played in preseason yet, has he?
No. That can't be good. It can't be.
Either he's the number 1 they're saving him, or he's going to have to work his way through the depth chart.
Yeah. I suspect it's the latter, personally. I think it's unlikely he's the clear-cut number 1 wide receiver, and that we've heard sweet nothing about him during training camp.
Nothing.
Yeah. So I imagine it's not good.
He was meant to be like a day 1 prospect at one point.
Yep. Well, it seems as though the reasons that he fell to the 4th round are becoming more apparent than ever to the Broncos now.
Yeah. Must have a pretty bad work ethic at training camp if that's the way he's going.
Something's going on. Yep.
Yeah. Cortland Sutton hit the field, 1 catch for 23 yards. He's probably the number 1 there, isn't he?
Yeah, and I would say Tim Patrick's number 2.
Yep.
I think judging by the snaps he had with the first team and his overall production, I think it is Tim Patrick time. Now, he's basically not being drafted in the slightest, so I almost guarantee you he's on almost every set of waivers right now, Tim Patrick, so not a terrible pickup.
If I was to check the sleeper app right now and looked in the trending section, do you reckon he'd be top 2?
I don't... No, he's not. I know that for a fact. Carson Steele's up there with Sione Vaki. He's not even in the top 10.
There you go. That's interesting.
But then if I look at Tim Patrick, where is he? He got a yeah, there he is. Okay, he's rostered by 3%.
Weird.
Yeah,
Weird.
very very weird.
Greg Dolchich, he's back from injury. He's going to be involved in the offense. He's a very good tight end, young tight end. Look, he's going to be on the waivers on pretty much nearly everyone's waivers as such in 15 round squads. But he's one to watch. I really liked him a couple of years ago. One to watch. He's got upside. And Javonte Williams looks like he is probably going to be the number one.
Yeah, I think we touched on it a while ago. It will still be a committee, but the clear number one guy seems to be Javonte Williams. Samaje Perine featured in third down duties. They did some change of pace stuff with Jaleel McLaughlin. Audric Estime could still take goal line carries potentially, but I still think I'm still confident enough that the most likely outcome is a Javonte Perine backfield with Javonte doing 90% of the work and Perine doing pass catching and 10% of the work.
Yeah, fair enough. On the Packers side, they were pretty woeful. They didn't really play anyone though. No Jordan Love, no receivers really. So we won't even bother going through the Packers at all. I wouldn't imagine.
No, I'm happy to skip.
And the last game of the round or week was the Niners and the Saints. Now, they did play Brock Purdy, the Niners, today. 2 of 6 for 11 yards or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not really too worried about that, to be honest. But he's out there playing cool. They didn't really have any of their wide receivers playing at all. So, yeah, it's a bit of a whatever for me.
Yeah, there wasn't really that much in that final game there. Like, 49ers didn't play anyone. I don't think... Did we see anything from Ricky Pearsall? No, we saw nothing from Ricky Pearsall.
He's injured.
He's injured, true, yeah. Nah, nothing on the 49ers side. Bit more interest on the Saints, though.
Yeah, so Derek Carr played for a couple of drives, I believe, 7 of 9, 47 yards. He did have, I think he targeted Olave 4 times. They've connected for 3 for 26. That's going to be a pretty good connection all year. I mean, Derek Carr cops a lot of shit, but he's going to make Olave fantasy relevant to a pretty good high degree, I'd say. Outside of Olave, though, there was I don't believe we had Rashid Shaheed play at all, did we?
No, Rashid. Yeah, he might be. Might have a minor injury, yeah.
Yeah, so we had no Kamara play. Yeah, we can probably mention this guy to end the show, but Taysom Hill, goal line carry. Ooh, he's going to be a jack of all trades this year.
We love Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's going to be a fun player to watch, and he's a QB tight end mix in sleeper. So just keep your eye on Taysom Hill and see what he does this year. He'll be playing a bit of everywhere, I'd say.
Yeah, I think you'll see him line up in a lot of wildcat formations and direct snap, just carry the football right up the gut. I think you'll see him line up at tight end. I think you'll see him line up at running back in the slot. Oh, he's going to be fun to watch, as always.
Yeah. But nothing else of note in this game at all?
Not for me, no.
No. Cool.
I've just been picking up, what's his name, Tim Patrick in like 3 or 4 different leagues as we were speaking there.
Yeah, that's a bit naughty. He's now, roster percentage is now 4%.
Yeah.
All right, well, we should end it there. We'll be back live again on Thursday night, and I think we're going to go down the My Guys, aren't we?
Yeah, we're ripping off the fantasy footballers. That's all right. I doubt they listen to the show, and if they do, sorry. Yeah, we're ripping off their idea. We're going to go through I didn't actually confirm the number, but I reckon we go through our top 5 guys for the season, or top 10 guys, or something like that. But yeah, we're going to go through who we really like this season, and give you all the nerdy reasons why we like them.
Perfect. All right, that's it for us. Like and subscribe, bottom of the channel. That'd be great. Getting our Patreon. There's some good stuff brewing in there. Our Discord's always open. My DMs are always open if you need to chat about anything at all. And we'll see you Thursday for another one.
See you later.